Mario start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finally, he's had 2 appearances off the bench.
Yep.
And I really think that was going to be the game. Well, now he's called up
in the air.
Yeah.
So we won't get to see him.
And there's one other player we're not going to have next week. It is
Christian Ramirez?
No. Well, we're not going to have Ramirez.
Most likely.
Let's not talk about that. We're not going to have our friend Mears, who has been let go.
Yeah.
By the team. It was a mutual drop, from what I read.
I would like to put that in bunny ears.
So the terminology, the terminology released him from his contract. That's the proper words? I think.
And it was, what they said is a mutual thing. He is going back to England to play for West Brom. And like I was telling you guys earlier this week, when that happened, I was online, and the West Brom fans on Twitter were having a conniption about him signing with them because they were like, "Why are we doing this? He sucks."
Right.
And that's interesting. West Brom, I was actually, I guess I don't look at the EPL table too often, but when I think of West Brom, I think of the Premier League. They've been up in the top English division
they have.
For quite a while, over, say, the last 18 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
I think maybe they were last up there. It might have been actually a few years ago, but because now they're in the Championship, which is England's second league.
Level.
Yeah, I think they were up 2016.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe even just a couple years ago.
But the big thing from the United was, he wanted to be closer to his family because they live in England, and he's going to have a chance to play in the Championship League and blah, blah, blah. No, we just got rid of him because he sucks. Why don't we just say that?
He's injury prone. I mean, he's been injured, I think it's 3 times this year. And then he's not, I don't know that I'd say he sucks.
Well, it wasn't helping the club. He wasn't helping the club.
I think for a 34-year-old, he's got some wheels yet. But, I don't think he's... we signed him because we needed somebody on the wing.
Yeah.
And, it was probably a pretty safe signing.
It was.
For the most part.
At the time.
Yeah.
Like I said...
And he had his green card.
And so he did have a green card. That's right. Make sure we have a green... If we're signing guys from overseas, make sure they have a green card.
Now, does a green card, does that mean you do not need to have the international player status?
That's right.
So when Jerry got his green card a month ago, that was huge for us.
Yeah, it was.
The free-up spot.
But like I said, the West Brom fans were not happy with the signing of Mears. I'm happy to see him go because it'll get some other guys some playing time.
Yeah.
It'll get some other guys. Maybe it'll get some younger guys to step up a little bit. And then we went out and signed
Fernando Bob. So that was that's a good
yeah.
segue. We just got done talking about all the players that we won't have next Wednesday, the 12th, versus DC United. But maybe we should talk about who we will have. Will we have Fernando Bob starting? And that's, as we were talking about the importance of the defensive midfielder, the number 6 spot. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He's he's Colombian as well, or is he Brazilian?
Brazilian.
Okay.
He's Brazilian.
And I think with the fact that we're not going to have Boxall and Calvo, I would bet he starts.
He starts, yeah.
Because he does need to get his, I'm not going to say green card, but he needs to get his papers in order, his visa, work visa.
And the last I saw, I think it was pretty close. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I have to say one thing about Fernando Bob. Not a fan of his name.
Bob?
Fernando should go with something like Fernando Rodriguez or Fernando whatever. But
it does sound very Brazilian though, doesn't it?
But it sounds like they just
it's very Brazilian.
It sounds like you tried and then you just dropped Fernando Bob. That's where we're going.
See, so I saw his jersey. It's going to be Fernando Bob.
It is?
His jersey, yeah.
Oh.
And for me, I was like, as a Brazilian, I think it should be Bob.
Yeah, it should be Bob.
Because, Ibsen goes by Ibsen.
Yeah.
And there are other examples in Europe where they go by their William, and Chelsea goes by William. I think I could probably sit here and think of more, but I don't want to get dead space. It's one of those things where, for me, I would like to see either Bob, or his whole name.
Yeah.
And now I can't even remember what his whole name is, but
why don't we just do Fernando?
It's extreme.
Why can't we just do Fernando?
It doesn't go.
Fernando. Wasn't that a song by ABBA, Fernando?
You just can't do it. He's not from Mexico. He's from Brazil.
I'm wondering this. I'm wondering now if he starts playing for the United here shortly, are we going to see Bob the Builder signs at TCF Bank Stadium?
That's come up a lot on Twitter, and I would bet we will.
Will we see somebody dress up as Bob the Builder at TCF Bank Stadium?
Considering how weird our supporters are, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. Will you dress up as Bob the Builder? No. Okay. That's fine.
I don't like to draw attention to myself.
I don't want to sound naive, but who is Bob the Builder again?
What?
You don't have any kids, so you don't know.
I don't.
But even still.
Yeah, it's a show on...
It sounds vaguely familiar.
What channel is that? Was it Nickelodeon? Was it Nickelodeon or PBS?
Oh, I was going to say it was PBS, yeah.
PBS. Bob the Builder is a guy who builds stuff.
His name's Bob.
His name's Bob.
Okay.
Bob the Builder. Can we build it? Yes, we can. Yeah, there it is, right there.
See, I don't know that. I just
Could you sing that one more time?
No, I'm not going to sing anymore.
Okay.
No, I'm done singing Bob.
Our audience just tanked.
Yeah, we just went in the toilet.
This is now the last podcast.
BGN is dropping us right now. We're talking about Bob the Builder. We got to drop these guys. Jeez. So yes, we're getting Fernando Bob. Hopefully he can help out a little bit. I'm not looking forward to next game, guys. With all the guys who are not going to be there, with Darwin's injury still kind of up in the air, I'm not looking forward to it.
So, and we don't have the details regarding, or at least I don't. We don't have the details with the financial details, because here's what I have to wonder. I have to ask about is this kind of a move? The Fernando Bob move signing, is this a move they couldn't have made without trading Ramirez for the TAM money?
Potentially. I
think
say
it's
so.
Probably connected.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the problem with it is that it's a signing that should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah, I think I saw you mention something about that, on Twitter, actually.
Yeah, I just... the reality is... Manny Lagos said that they didn't want to sign a number 6 until they had the right guy.
Sure.
Now, that's on record, and I've seen it used quite often on Twitter. So now, Fernando's got a lot of pressure on him, because
he has to be the right guy.
Right, if he's not the right guy, all of a sudden it's like, really? That's who you just signed? That's who you just spent some of Christian Ramirez's money on?
Yeah.
Supposedly the right guy,
and we're both using air quotes when we say the right guy, just so you know. Yeah, because are we skeptical when we say that? I think we probably are.
I think age-wise he's a little old, but he is. I've said this on Twitter. He's Brazilian, so I say if you're a 30-year-old Brazilian, you're probably more like a 27-year-old American.
Yeah, when guys come from especially South America. And I look at their age, I always say if they're young 30s, they're old 20s United States wise. They still got some hop.
Definitely. You look at Ibsen. He's what, like 38? No, I don't even know. What is he? He's like 35.
He's 30. I think he's 35. Yeah.
Aside from his stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got gas in the tank.
He does.
He's a quality player in terms of his age.
Yeah.
So I don't think his age is an issue.
No.
I think from what I've seen, he's kind of a roamer. He's been on a lot of different teams, out on loan, a lot of different teams. Does that mean that he's not that good? Possibly, but I think Brazil's top league is better than MLS. So
exactly right.
I think there's a question as to whether or not he's quite the quality we want. Mm-hmm. But if we're going to bring in a young guy at some point over the offseason, which I honestly think this is what's happening.
Yeah.
I think he's a stopgap to shut the people up for the rest of the season.
Yep.
And then in the offseason, we're going to bring in a new kid, and that's going to be a better signing. I think at that point, he's a very good veteran presence to have to learn from
on this team. Yep.
I mean, from what I've seen of his stats, he seems pretty solid.
Yeah. So I think we're done talking about the United for today.
Yeah.
let's take a short break. We're going to come back, guys, with some talk about some articles that we've read recently in the Star Tribune and the Wall Street Journal about Major League Soccer.
Oh, you know what? We'll talk about the loans.
And we'll talk...
The loan players out. They're not really loon-oriented, but still.
A little more loon. And we should maybe we should talk about where the podcast was this past Monday.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that, where we were at, and we'll come back in a little bit after we grab another beer, and we'll talk about it. All right. Welcome back, guys. We took a little break, got some more beers. I am now drinking Shook Pineapple Milkshake IPA from Modist Brewing. Sister-in-law Jamie bought it for me last night. It is fan-flippin-tastic, guys. If you like milkshake IPAs, definitely grab this one. Dave Stevens has the Muddy Runner from Omni, which we talked about earlier.
Yep. And it's my first time trying it. Real quick, I can just basically mirror what Dave said. And the one thing, the coconut. Yeah, it doesn't stick out as much as I thought it might. But so, yeah, it's a great porter from Omni.
Mm-hmm. And Dave Sterling is having the Insight Brewing, the Doe Eyes, which I had earlier. And
you know, I'm a big sour guy. Mm-hmm. This is
pretty fantastic.
Yeah,
it's good sour.
The cherries, you can tell there's cherry there. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's really well balanced. What's the alcohol? Doesn't really taste very, very heavy alcohol. 7.3.
Oh, I was going to say 15. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
I'll say this. Both of your beers, Dave and Tony, your beers stick out. And I can see why they'd stick out in a liquor store. And they're very bright. Yeah. Vivid, for sure. Pink. Yours is quite pink, Tony.
It's pink. It's nothing I would buy myself. My sister-in-law,
like
of course.
Said, yeah.
My sister-in-law's over here about 2 or 3 times a week, and she always complains that she drinks all my beer, and she needs to buy more beer for me, and I always say it's not a big deal, we're family. And every once in a while she'll just kick in and buy just crazy stuff that's amazing. So it's always a little pleasure for me to see what she bought.
It's very nice of her.
Oh, it is, yeah. We didn't talk about, before we went to break, we didn't talk about that we're also going to miss one other guy from the next game, that's Schuler.
Right.
Who got called up by his national team,
Finland,
correct? By Finland, yep. So we're going to miss Schuler as well. So that just adds another layer to the whole, we're not going to have any players.
What's one more player? We're already
yeah.
And you know, what's worse is he's actually been very good this year.
He has been, yes. He has been good. I wanted to bring out a couple of articles that we read this week. One article was by, John Martheller?
That's right.
In the Star Tribune. And he wrote an article about how MLS soccer should be more like college football.
Yeah, so the article's title was U.S. Soccer Could Learn a Few Things from College Football.
Yes, and when I read the article, I think all of us read the article,
yep.
And I'm telling you that he doesn't make many... He kind of rambles about some things. I don't think MLS could ever be like college football because he talks about tradition and rivalries. And we were talking about this before the podcast, is like MLS can't have big rivalries yet because we haven't been playing for 100 years like college football has.
Yes.
So you're never going to get the Minnesota-Wisconsin rivalry in the MLS because we've only been playing for a couple years.
Yeah, I had a few problems with the article, and like you pointed out, I mean, he basically, the first impression I got was he was saying, well, like we said with the title's article, they could learn a few things, and that may be true. I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
I just think, like, he starts out by saying, well, college football has such a big, long history. Of course, they've been playing college football for 150 years
yeah.
in that ballpark. And, soccer, you know, the highest level of Major League Soccer, we'll say, has been around since the mid-'90s.
Yep.
Soccer is not going to have that history.
No.
It can't yet.
And think about how many generations that NCAA football has been through, okay? You've been through the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. They've been through all these generations, and they continue to go. One of the reasons they continue to go is because they're with universities.
Yeah.
And they have money, okay? Yeah. And universities have money for sports.
And another problem with the article is that I just feel like when you're talking about college football, and of course we've brought it up many times. I'm, say, for example, Gopher football, University of